Hello and welcome back once again, and thank you very much Lynn and Anne for an amazing fireside chat where they were talking about AI for leadership and self-discovery in the workplace. But on this almighty panel that we have here, some of the most credible people in the world are here right now, and we're going to be talking about the new era of AI-powered education. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick a quick 30-second introduction with everybody. And then once we've had our quick introduction, then we'll get straight into the questions because there is a lot to discuss on today's panel. So we will start with Alan, and then we'll go over to Patty, and then so on and so forth. So Alan, over to you, 30 seconds, far away.
Okay. Hi, thank you for having me. Great to be with you today. My name is Alan. I'm the founder of Studio Bahia. We use virtual reality in healthcare and for therapeutic purposes. We also manufacture a product. This is our product. It's a low-cost VR headset. This is our team. We manufacture in 7 factories in Bangladesh and China, and we sell to hospitals here in the US. This is our little VR headset and our kit. We also sell them online. We also do trial productions with Stanford, IIT Hyderabad, UC Davis, MIT. We do the VR content production for trials for reduction of anxiety, detection of Alzheimer's, dementia. So we work in healthcare and VR. We're a small nonprofit. But it's a pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Alan. And Patty, over to you.
Yeah, great to meet everyone here, and thanks for having me. I'm Patty. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rev Arts. We are a platform to support upcoming artists to advance their careers, and we run inspections, help them to find opportunities through AI, and we also teach them these days how to use AI to monetize their artwork and also to develop their art career. And besides that, I'm also being an advisor for some education tech startups as well. Great to be here.
Thank you so much, Patty. And Shachar, is that how you say your name? Sorry.
Oz is fine. Oz is fine.
Moses. Okay.
My public identity. By day, I work for today in Lamborghini as a user experience developer designer on the infotainment on the car. By night, I do like Patty. I help a lot to educators because in my previous life before Lamborghini, I was a video game developer and designer. Yeah. And I combined my passion to education with working with teachers and increasing designing lesson plans and doing a lot in this area. So I actually had a lot of the combination between the super emergent technologies and also the working with the teachers directly and teaching myself.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Oz. And Ganesh, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be here. Privileged to be part of this panel as well. I'm a founder and CEO of Akshaya.io. We are Akshaya into emerging technologies. We focus on AI and emerging technologies like blockchain and especially the immersive training space. So we are at the intersection of how we can transform education and training using immersive technology and AI as well. So other than the CEO role that I do at Akshaya, I am a serial entrepreneur. I have other companies that I also take care of, and I'm a vice chairman of IEEE local body too, so advisor for a few startups too. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Ganesh. And it sounds like Patty's also a serial entrepreneur too. So both of you are serial entrepreneurs, which is awesome. Adya, over to you. Welcome. You need to unmute your microphone and then you can speak. It's okay.
Technical errors, so sorry about that, but thank you so much for having me. My name is Adya. I'm a design director at Shunor, which is a design agency, but I'm also a founder of Academy of Art Design and Strategy, where we teach AI and strategy and design thinking for people around the world. I also am a trainer, mentor, and speaker with multiple events like Google and Women Tech Makers. So I'm very excited for this conversation because it's something that I'm deeply passionate about. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Adya. And Kaylee, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. My name is Kaylee Brown. I work for Pearson, the global education company, and I work for an arm of Pearson called Pearson Labs. So we're R&D and experimentation with emerging technologies like AI, like spatial computing, like blockchain, to see how we can apply these technologies to help our students, our teachers, our administrators, our districts, workforce, to help solve their problems.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And last but not least, Laliana, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm Iuliana. I'm from Romania. I'm an EdTech founder for Smart Synergy. It's a small company, a startup that I put bases here in Romania in order to introduce virtual reality and artificial intelligence to augment human skills development through well-being programs for corporate environment, through trainings, and also through psychotherapy. Besides of this, I'm also a philosophical counselor certified, and I'm trying to teach people critical thinking in order to not lose it with this new AI era.
That's actually really important, especially with TikTok and everything like that. Or was it the TikTok brains and all that sort of stuff? So good to have you with us, Laliana. And also, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Russell Bundy. I'm the Director of Partnerships at GatherVerse, and I'm also the CEO at Madbob. That's pretty much me in the summary. I won't go into too much details because, again, we've got a lot to discuss, and I have about 10 different questions that we've got to go through, and we've also got to get everyone's input involved in all this. So I just want to get straight in. So first question up is, how can educational institutes map the skills needed for the future workforce and align them with AI capabilities? Now, Ganesh, I'm going to bring you onto this because you're a superhero in this. So, and then we'll also hand it over to Adya after. So, Ganesh, over to you.
Okay, so educational, of course, AI is transforming quite a lot. That means it's transforming the future job opportunities. What educational institute have to now do is adapt to what the future would look like. I think there's a huge gap on what is taught in the educational now institutions, university, and so on. It is more outdated on what the future job market would look like. I would think that they should focus on creating courseware that is focused on more of AI and what the future would the jobs would look like, how the companies would transform themselves. How do you give more practical experience and training for that kind of a scenarios? And not just have a theory class that is outdated. So that's my opinion.
Oh no, I 100% agree with that. I think that the education needs to be heavily updated because otherwise, if it isn't, a lot of people who will be even passing their diplomas or PhDs or whatever sort of education you're having right now, and you pass that, but then all of a sudden a year later your education's just gone. Well, you're gonna have to relearn basically all over again. So Adya will bring you onto this, and Shansha and Patty, could you both mute your microphones whilst myself and Adya just have have this conversation, and then I'll pass the mic over to you guys after. So Adia, over to you.
Wow. Okay. I think I completely agree with what was said about this topic. I think first it's very important to figure out what are the skills that we actually need to improve on, because it's a tool at the end of the day. So when we want to create a personalized experience or a more welcoming and diverse experience for educational institutions to have, because they have diversity and not all the students think the same way and they require different things. So it's very important to figure out how the curriculum that we build focuses on those requirements, and then engage AI to help facilitate that to happen, right?
Right.
Rather than thinking of AI as this one-stop shop for all the solutions and can fix all the problems in the world. I think seeing how we can continuously keep upskilling, because before AI also there was a big gap between what we learned and how reality was when we entered the workforce. So this is a problem that was much like, it's very old. It has been there for years, and I think it's about time that educational institutions figure out how we can be more dynamic in our approach to teaching and learning, and how we can use the credentials that we get from AI to enable critical thinking, enable how we can enable these skills for the real world, and use those skills to actually see how we can be successful rather than being isolated from the rest of the world.
No, yeah, 100% agree with that. Like Laniana brought up earlier, with critical thinking, I think it's so important as we go into the next phase, as I call the AI age. Yeah, it's more important now than ever to use critical thinking, and also, to learn as much AI as possible. Doesn't matter what your background is or what education you have or who you are. You just gotta learn AI, keep up with the times. And I know AI is speeding up very, very, very fast, but you just gotta try and keep up. Like, we're all in the same boat here. We're all trying to keep up as fast as it's going. So, but thank you very much, Adiana. So the next question, which is, how far can AI go in tailoring education to individual learners and needs? So we're going to go to Patty, and then we'll go to you, Oz, after. So Patty, over to you.
Yeah, I'd like to share some perspective because we work with artists a lot, and
Sure.
we hear so many times they talked with us to say, hey, they haven't learned any business skills or practical skills to survive. Use what they have learned, right? When they went to the university to get BFA or MFA, it's usually focused on studio art, learning how to paint, how to do sculptural. Then they enter into the society, and they don't know how to make a living out of it. So I think AI can give like very exciting, because we've been spending so many years teaching them about how to, operate our business, how to do those business skills, but different people have different foundations. And it's very, very hard if we just run like webinars or workshops or in person, those kind of classes. It's very, very hard to answer everyone's specific questions. And I think AI can change that, and which is amazing. And we are also trying to adopt that in our current, the process as well. And I think that's very exciting for the future education.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting how AI is very personalized or AI is personalizing from one to the other. Oz, I'm going to bring you straight in. I can see your ego, my friend. Let's get into this conversation. Come on, Oz.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Come on, join in.
The only thing I want to say, or the main and most important thing I would like to add right here, right now, is that the about the importance of the teacher. We keep adding AI, and like you said, it's too fast and it's too well, no, it's a technology. So personally, I disagree with that statement of technology must go and we must follow and we must. No, we can turn off technology. We can turn off something. So I would not say now we need to do all of this, but definitely the teacher's location in all of my, let's say, in all of the years of, 20 years I've been working with teachers, let's say, I think that there is no replacement for the human connection. This is one. And the second, so where, yes, we can add is where in the obvious situation where we have a lot of kids that all of them are different. As a user experience designer, this is a terrible situation to design application for. So if you want to design application for someone, you need your audience to be somewhat similar, but in a classroom, everybody is very different because they are different people with different needs. So at the end of the day, what we could do is somehow use AI in order to input big data that we have on our students, backgrounds, knowledge, status, families, I don't know, and then help us as teachers to address the situation differently, for example.
Interesting, because it kind of makes me think, right? Like, you know, how I was saying to Christopher earlier with the whole school thing, and there's a school that has entire AI system where everyone's just learning from AI only. So I kind of, and I just want to fire this kind of question back to you, Oz, and then we'll continue the discussion around to Alan and Laliana, which is like, do you think that the AI, personalization and system is wrong, or do you think it could be a combination of both? Like as in, do you think they can coexist with each other?
I can tell you, as a person who worked on during a few years in Intel, I was working in, I don't remember, 2017-15, I don't remember exactly, but we developed a camera that was able to detect your facial expressions and these kind of things. And we developed a system that could detect emotions or facial expressions, and hopefully be able to detect your concentration and how well you are concentrated on the matter, and then to help predict if you are comfortable with this exercise that you are doing as a student or not. So at the end of the day, the goal, it's good. So if I am going to develop an emotional recognition system that is actually able to detect emotions of the user on the other side of the machine, theoretically the AI could be terrific in understanding and talking to you and engaging with you and all of that. But nowadays, when I see the world and how we behave as a society and humanity towards the AI, I am actually quite afraid about developing and allowing the development of this kind of technology, because I am kind of afraid of what the implication would be. So I would kind of refrain from doing this at the moment, because unless we kind of learn how to embrace those technologies correctly, let's say.
Well, thank you for answering that, Oz, because obviously that wasn't one of the questions on the list, but it's just kind of something that I thought of at the time. So, but anyway, welcome back, Kaylee. Hopefully you don't disconnect it once again. But anyway, I just want to say a quick hello also to Rose Ashford, who's watching on YouTube right now, Andrea C, and also William Jackson as well. Okay, so my next question, which is, will AI disrupt the traditional teacher-student dynamic and what the implications are? And obviously, we just touched on that with Oz. So we'll go over to yourself, Alan, and then we'll head over to Liliana, and then obviously we'll head over to you as well, Kaylee. So don't worry, you're still going to be answering. It's all good.
Thank you. We're a design studio, and so we have clients come to us, and we had a client this summer request a product that would encourage students to be interested and excited about mathematics. And so we came up with Math Matrix. The name is terrible. It's just the first thing we're going to call it.
Okay, I like it. I like the cheesiness. It's good.
But what it is
basically,
I don't like that name at all. But we had to call it something. We're like, let's just call it Math Matrix for now. Okay, but it's a horrible name. But what it basically is a generative world building as a teacher's assistant in virtual reality. And so what happens is that the teacher and the students meet inside a virtual landscape, and they're able to visualize mathematics. And what makes a difference in that is a lot of us, 80%, 90% of what our brain processes is visual. And we're very visual beings. And so having mathematics be visualized and available for students in that way, just makes it more exciting. It makes it easier to learn as well. And so the whole, as we designed it, we started to design the draft of it this summer. We looked at how it would become, the teacher becomes more of a mentor, of a facilitator, as opposed to the content creator. Because what you would have is the generative AI.
Right.
It's world building, basically. So it's visualizing the different mathematical equations, different mathematical works, and then the students working in them as a team. And the teacher's basically facilitating the curriculum, the deadlines, the process, the schedules, and takes not a secondary role. It's still there. It's still more of a team effort. And so we're just developing this right now, but we started to think ourselves, we need to contextualize this. Mathematics is an evolution over, people build upon the last great mathematicians' equations, and they keep building and building on them. So now we're changing, and we're looking at putting all of these visualization exercises within civilizations that did great discoveries in mathematics, such as like the Mayas, the Babylonians, the Indians. And so in that virtual context, they're able to both visualize the progression of mathematics and where they are within that progression, and be able to be motivated to create new findings in mathematics. So sorry for the long-winded answer. I was like, we don't even know if we can do this, because we were talking to the client, like, this hasn't been invented. This is like putting ChatGPT with Midjourney as a teacher's assistant in a virtual. And I said, I don't know if we're going to make this up as we go. So I don't know if we're going to complete it, but I just wanted to add that dynamic with a teacher. She becomes more of and the student, they become, it's like a board, but it's a lot more alive, and it's dynamic, and it's responding to you. And so it's a different dynamic happening.
Sure, no, that's very interesting. And like that whole mathematics and being able to see that, that's definitely so interesting and different. And I've never heard of that before. So thank you for sharing that, actually, Alan. That's really awesome that you're doing that. I really appreciate that. Okay, we need to get on to the next question, because we've got like 5 or 6 questions left. So we're going to find the next question. Then we go to Liliana and Kaylee on this one, which is, how can AI prompt creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving in learners? So I guess that kind of comes back to the teacher sort of student dynamic. But how can AI prompt these different creativity, and critical thinking and problem solving? So Kaylee, we'll start with you, and then Liliana, we head to you after.
Awesome, thank you. So I think that what underpins this entire conversation for me is just the idea that education really needs to go through a systems change. So if you think about when education was first thought of in the industrial age, it was created to create factory workers who follow the same processes over and over again, right? And that's how we educate. We educate based on the same process that each student learns. Every student has to reach a certain level of proficiency. There's no room for this sort of individualization in the system as a whole. So I think that we really need to go back to the system of education and think about how that changes. And what does the future of education look like? And I think this goes back to what the future skills are needed for work. And so there's some ideas about Portrait of a Graduate, which includes things like students need to be able to critically think and problem solve and all these sorts of things. So I think that we call them soft skills, right? So I think in training these soft skills, you have to think about how AI really plays into all of that, because students, when they graduate, are going to have access to this tool, and it has a potential to create a new digital divide for students in terms of a have and have not. I have used AI before in my education to solve problems, to think critically. I have not. I've just been trained to be this kind of factory worker that churns out the same thing over and over again. Right. So just as an example of something that you can use AI to teach, I know there's a lot of concern around using AI to cheat. And I think that as a teacher, if you have an assignment where students can use AI to cheat, then maybe it's not the right assignment. Right.
Well, I think maybe you have to have another AI system to be able to detect that, right? Like to stop that from happening. You say, "Oh, I see you're cheating on your little exam there, right? Our AI system has detected this, so like don't even try to use ChatGPT because we see it right through it.
Well, even beyond that, right? If a student can use ChatGPT to cheat, then it's just another version of a process that is easily followed, right? It's not pulling on those higher level thinking skills of critical thinking, of problem solving. So as an example, right, a student or a teacher can assign students, say, go to ChatGPT, have it spit you out 3 articles based on 3 different viewpoints on this one focal issue. Once you do that, I'm going to put you in discussion groups and you discuss what you think about it and how you would solve the problem based on what AI just gave you, right? So suddenly the student can't use ChatGPT to cheat because they're encouraged to use it in the actual assignment, and they have to come up with what they personally think about it. It becomes more individualized. Students start understanding what their skills are, what their opinions are, which is totally different from how we educate currently. Because how we educate currently is the teacher is the imparter of knowledge, and students have to follow along with whatever the teacher says and thinks and do things in the teacher's way. But we're now changing the system to be more about students becoming their own people and being able to contribute to society in a totally new and different way, in a more creative way.
For sure, no, I completely agree. The system does need to be changed. And Liliana, will quickly bring you onto this because obviously we don't have much time, but I want you to kind of just follow up from what Kaylee is saying, which is what are your thoughts on that? Do you think also the system needs to be changed, etc.? From what Kaylee was saying, and also Liliana, you need to unmute your microphone as well, just so you know.
Yes, thank you. I forgot about it. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with Kaylee. The system somehow must be changed. The actual system is based on memorizing and competition and knowledge retention, most of it. And I think there must be a switch to creativity, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, empathy skills, but the most important, ethical reasoning. Because all the students must learn how to use technology in an ethical way, not for the profit, but for their personal learning and their keeping their human side. And this is something that I'm trying to promote. Let's use tech to keep our humanity alive, because most of the students from now, they are learning about AI, and like Kaylee said, some of them are learning how to use AI to cheat. But the idea is not to cheat. It's how to use AI to augment your skills, how to use AI to augment your human skills, how to learn from AI to take some decisions that are ethical and are not oriented only on the objective, but also keeps your humanity in place when you take the decisions. And for this system to change, I think the first must be the teachers that should change. They must learn how to use AI in an ethical way and how to give to their students, to transfer to their students the ethical reasoning, and then start to learn, to teach actually the students how to use AI to boost their creativity, to boost their critical thinking, and also their problem-solving skills.
I mean, Oz, I can see you nodding your head down there. You're very like yes. Oz, I know you want to jump in on this question, but I want to actually kind of ask you a question which is related to changing the system, which is how can we rethink like the assessment and grading in an AI-powered learning system?
This is actually a very good task or use case of AI. This is because I don't know. Well, I think here we know teachers, and but I don't know how people outside who are maybe parents to students your teacher works after the time that he is spending in class with your child. So they are doing phone calls with parents. They are doing checking tests, of course, depending on the country, etc., and the way that your contract is built, or I don't know. But at the end of the day, the automatic checking of tests of work, this is actually quite a good use case, I would say, for AI systems. And then because if you insert the automatic grading and so on and so forth, this could be done. But at the end, I would say there should be some sort, like Kaylee was saying, the system that Kaylee was speaking about. That's where I was really nodding, because also for the ethical parts of Juliana, but the system of the little human touch at the end to understand if the student is really on the way, if he really wrote the things or AI wrote it, etc., etc. But I would say this is a very nice use case for the technology.
I absolutely agree. I know Kaylee. Go on, Kaylee. 20 seconds, because we've got to go to the next question. But go ahead.
Yeah,
I know you want to jump in.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about this. I actually started my career in assessments. So this is something that I've always been passionate about, is AI in assessments. And I think that in order to change the system, it has to start with assessments, because as much as we tell teachers don't teach to the assessment, that's what ends up happening, because that's how everything is run, is based on assessment. So that's the first thing that needs to change, I think. And when you're talking about AI and assessments, there's a lot more ways now to assess instead of the traditional pen and paper and grading. These are all incremental changes that you can implement AI in, sure, writing questions, grading questions. But with AI, it opens up a whole new opportunity of how we assess. So it's about stealth assessment, which we've talked about for years and years and never really had a way to do until now. We have all of the data of students, how they do their assignments. That can become a way of assessment. Or with, ChatGPT, they can chat with a chatbot, and that's how they can be assessed, as in more natural languages. Suddenly you've now removed this idea of students not being motivated to be assessed and not being motivated to do their best, is because it's more engaging and a different type of assessment than just the traditional pen and paper, sit down and have this really stressful situation. So.
Well, Hassan has just commented on LinkedIn. He's just said, very informative discussion. So he's really liking this, our discussion today. And also Lynn says, interesting concept, Alan, for the maths idea. I love it. I love the name. But anyway, let's go to the next question, which is, what are the potential drawbacks of over-reliance on AI in learning, and how can these be mitigated? And Adya, I can see you nodding your head, so you can fire in on this, and then we'll go to Ganesh, the serial entrepreneur.
I mean, I think this is also two-faced. Like even teachers, when they start learning, and we've spoken about training the educators in learning AI and how to use it, but also from the students' point of view, it's not just for cheating or for finishing up the assignment or anything. I think nothing can replace human thinking and how we actually analyze and solve a problem, whatever that might be, because AI is not actually thinking and adapting. It's just using information that it has access to, and then producing a compilation of all of the information it's brought together to give you the output. So it's definitely something that we can use for research purposes with the quantity that it can process at the time, and then help us to actually form an idea and form a conclusion. So I think over-reliance is already happening. Even though AI is just about beginning in the mass market, it's already something that we're over-reliant on. And we feel, and I think we, in the sense, people who are not actually understanding what AI is supposed to be or can be, and the potential of it, the people who want to use it on their day-to-day basis, especially students, they feel like it's giving them the best answer possible because it's able to decipher from history and all of the information. But truly it isn't, because it's just giving you the information that it has pre-stored, but it has not evolved with the time. So it's not changed. It's just the most updated information that it has. So in terms of mitigating it, is first to educate that it doesn't actually give you the best or the right answers, right? AI hallucinations are a thing. We're suffering with getting the same answer over and over again. And I have done a few tests on this to see what exactly does it spit out. And sometimes it's giving you the same point over and over and over and over again, right? It's not really making any sense, doesn't have an opinion, doesn't have a point of view. It's just giving you information. And that also is causing a lot of information overload, because students today believe that their papers can, like 5,000 words can be written in a snap of a minute and it makes sense. But if you really read it and you really go into the depths of it, it doesn't. So I think number one is not just to look at all the positives of this tool, because AI is a tool, right? How we use it is up to us, and how we spear that system is up to us. So I think first is awareness. Is, are we actually using it for, I mean, the best way that we can? Is AI, I mean, is this only to write a paper for me? Or can we look at how I can go and learn and educate myself and then form an opinion of that? And mitigation will of course come from people who have like have a panel like how we're discussing this, but also look at it from the point of view of what are the restrictions that we can have, especially with education. Is that
Adia, I got to jump in because we're running out of time. But well, if you want to finish your point quickly, because I want to get Ganesh on this.
Very quickly, I think just that we need to first understand that when we look at mitigating, it comes back to assessment, right? Is
Right.
to try to figure out that these are the things that we can use it for, and these are the things that we need to actually stop and think and use our God-gifted mind and see what we can actually do with it, with the information that we have. Yeah.
Yes. No. Thank you very much, Adia, for getting to your point. Appreciate it. Ganesh, let's bring you on this quickly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Adia said. Is the over reliance on AI is already happening. I would relate to usage of maybe calculators today, right? So can you take away calculators? In olden days, simple math, we used to do that in head. We used to remember, the numbers, multiplications, and so on. Now we don't even realize that even simple addition of single digits, we have to open up a calculator for that, right? So I think AI would eventually become that. You cannot take away calculator, right? You cannot take away computers from you. We are reliant on computers already. I think that is what is eventually going to happen with AI as well. It is like electricity, our computers, our phones, our calculators. That will happen. But
100% agree with that.
yes,
So
so
go ahead.
absolutely, that is something that is going to happen. How do we mitigate that? And I love the idea what Alan said is maybe change the education in connecting other elements into what you're learning. For example, you may not be great in math, but can you connect history to math and show them how the history has changed? Maybe I'm super interested in history. I particularly was not great in math, but I am very curious on history. Now you made a connection between history and math, and you are making a story. Then I'm much more engaged. I'm more involved, right? So those are the things that I think we should focus on. That is something that we are also doing in our company, is simulating, not just connecting the history, but can you simulate and predict things that could go wrong? For example,
Right.
chemistry class. If you mix two chemicals, and can you show what would go wrong? Because you cannot really show that. You're not allowed to do certain things in education. So can you simulate the things that you were not allowed, but just give them ability to understand that? Because that also makes me understand better, right? So those are the things that we need to look at.
Absolutely. I've just seen some comments flying in here. Anna Faye says, Leadership Coaching School says, Anne Faye, love this discussion. Hassan also says, thank you for mentioning. Thanks for the mention earlier. And there's a couple other questions, but we can't get to them because we've got a load of questions ourselves, and we've literally got like 4 or 5 minutes left on the clock. So we're going to have to speed these up. So on this question, what future developments in AI could dramatically change learning? So Patty, I'm going to bring you onto this, and then we're going to just kind of go like one, per question kind of thing. And then once we get to the end, then we'll kind of open the discussion up. So Patty, over to you on this question.
Yeah, this is a really very big question, but I kind of want to follow up on what just Ganesh said. It's like, are we going to lose the skills in just the basics, do the calculation or read literature, remember stuff, those historical facts or something like that? Is a good thing? I actually have this question as well, probably to other panelists on this roundtable, because for me, I think remembering or having the basic, for example, the calculation skill, I think is still very important these days, but it might change us. Probably we don't have so much time or so much, opportunity to practice this. So that's kind of one future development I want to mention, and also it's kind of a question I want to throw to others as well. Another is so we because I live in the Bay Area, which we see the development of AI and also with other things, which kind of amazing. And one thing I keep thinking is I see a lot of robotic is developing together with AI, and is a possibility in the future. Actually, our teacher is not a human being anymore, and it's become the robotics. Because when I do have friends running those robotic companies, and they're showing this to me, and which was crazy. This really become very creepy for me as well. And
sorry, just jump in. You're on about the human AI, where they have the AIs are walking around as if they're humans, but they're kind of not at the moment in time until they get sort of the motions and stuff like that. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They carry on.
Yeah, so that's kind of two things, the future development. I think one is gradually changing our learning process. Another is, I don't know what, we are going to have a completely new word, probably 50 or 30, even 30 years later. Yeah. So to hear other people's opinion on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think even by 2050, I think I saw some crazy stats saying that there'll be 4 billion people in outer space or something like that, or billion people in outer space. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So if AI goes that far, and also AI does, rockets, and AI does education, and AI does everything kind of thing, and there's a billion people going to be in outer space where they're going to be educated by AI and everything on Mars and, the moon and stuff like that. That to me, that looks freaking crazy. I was like, wow, if that's actually going to happen, that's mind blowing. We're all on this planet Earth right now, and the fact that we're going to be on another planet being educated, that's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, Katie Brown, I'll bring you onto this because Patty would like to hear someone else's point of view. So Kaylee, come on. I know you have a lot to say.
I think that there's always going to be a place for a human teacher. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier on about that teacher-student interaction and the relationship and trust that's being built there. If you think about the best teacher you ever had, your most favorite teacher, it's not because they had a huge knowledge base. It's not because they answered all of your questions exactly correctly, right? It's because they had a passion for education. They were able to connect with you on a personal level. They were able to use personal anecdotes to make you connect to the material. These are all human things that AI can't do, and a robot definitely can't do, right? As of yet, maybe I'll be wrong, and in the future they'll have super
2 years time. There's a robot going around.
yeah, but I think that there is a human aspect to it, and as we're training students to kind of grow up in this new world with AI becomes their second brain, and they become more of creative generalists. The people who are going to do really well in this world are those who are adaptable and who can have that human aspect of it that AI can't do. And so what does that mean? How do we educate toward that? And what human skills do we need to teach with an AI background and with an AI as a second brain? Kind of creative generalists know a little bit about a lot of things so that you can query AI to figure out how to solve problems, how to create, how to add to the system. How do you add to the AI system, add to the knowledge base that's already there, and not just regurgitate what's been done in history.
No, I think it's very interesting as well with the whole AI agent side and how they're going to be also play their role within this too. I do find it very interesting actually, including the human AI side as well. And if they're going to be having feelings and emotions and everything like that as well, I mean, it's just going to be crazy eventually. But so the next question is, what long-term societal effects could arise from AI-powered education on the next generation of learners? So, Laniana, I want to bring you in on this, and then we will, if we have time, I'll fire it over to Oz as well. So, Laniana, over to you. There we go.
Thank you for this. I think AI-powered education could create a generation of highly adaptable and critical thinkers who could be prepared for the complexities of the workforce. But as I said before, and many of us said in this panel, it's very important how people use the AI and how the students are taught the current students are taught to use the AI, so that in the future these teachings could be implemented somehow. And it's very important also to balance this technological era with an emphasis on human values, on empathy, and like I said before, ethical reasoning. Because it could also lead this new AI.
Oh, emergency happened there. Okay.
Attached,
Oh, you're back. You're back,
society.
Daniela. Sorry, you broke
Oh,
up there.
sorry.
We didn't hear what you said.
I didn't saw I was broke up. Okay. So what I said before is that it's very important to balance this technology with emphasis on human values, with empathy, but also with ethical reasoning. Because this AI-powered education could also lead to a more detached transactional approach to human interaction. And I think we don't want to lose our human side. And
100%. Sorry, no, yeah, I was just agreeing because I really believe what you're saying there is 100%. We don't want to be losing our human side at all, because that's the worst thing that could happen. But yeah, please finish what you're saying.
Yes, but we can use this AI to continue to promote actually this human side, to consult ChatGPT when we have an emotional problem, and to learn to still be humans, to use virtual reality to connect with our friends, not only with WhatsApp or other text-based communication, but also with virtual reality, because now virtual reality is much more accessible than a few years ago, and it's much more evolved. We can teach people around us to learn to use technology, but to control the technology, not to let the technology to control us for profit, to control us for efficiency, to control us for any other things that could be made much more simple with technology. But actually, it's important to choose when to use technology to make our life simpler.
Sure. No, I 100% agree. Then we just had a comment actually from Sheridan Tatsuno. He said other types of AI robots being considered for mainstream adoption: toys, dolls, lamps, etc. Thanks for your comment, Sheridan. And Oz, finish this up. We've got about 30 seconds, and then we've got to momentary jump off. So, Oz, I'll hand over to you. What are your thoughts? What Liliana was saying. What do you think of this question?
I would say short, because you also said to Alan. So I will say in short, the big long-term effect from my point of view is the trust. We creating trust between humans would be more difficult when we don't know if you are a human or an AI that I'm speaking with. And and I would go to Alan.
Ganesh, you want to jump in quickly? I know you unmuted your microphone. 30 seconds, quick.
No, I completely agree with Liliana. I think being ethical and making sure the AI is not biased in terms of culture, just that various elements that humans are exposed to, the beliefs and religious beliefs and so on. So hopefully that bias, we have to be very careful. At the same time, I'm very optimistic on AI. It does open up wide exposure. It gives us access to the things that we don't have currently, and not just the historical, but even the culture and much more wider exposure.
that's it. That's all from us. Thank you so much for everyone on the panel. Make sure you follow everyone on the LinkedIn's. Go and check them out. These are great guys on here. Solo entrepreneurs, experts. You know, we've got them all on the panel, so make sure you follow them all. And that's it from me and from the panel. And over to you, Christopher. I'll gather.